very special day in our lives. All day long we get to celebrate the birth of the most wise. The most wise one, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So let's celebrate. Come on now. I sing my love. I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. I sing my love. Yeah. I sing my love into the world. I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. I sing my love. I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, 'cause I'm cold and I want to warm up. I dance my joy. I dance my joy. I dance my joy into the world. I dance my joy. I see you at home dancing. I see you. I see you. Yes, I do. Ha! I dance my joy. Dance my joy. Dance my joy into the world. I see you. I dance my joy into the world. I live my peace. I live my peace. I live my peace. I live my peace into the world. I live my peace. I live my peace. I live my peace into the world. I live my peace. Live my peace into the world. I live my peace. Live my peace into the world. And being that it is the holiday of Dr. Martin Luther King, let's remind ourselves the principle of nonviolence, which was so near and dear to his life. And at the King Center, that's what they stand for. That's what they're all about. Let's remind ourselves the principle of nonviolence. I live my peace. I live my peace into the world. I live my peace. I live my peace into the world. Just had to go there. Just had to go there. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. There was a time in my life when I thought I'd have to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Let it all go. And this is what you've got to say. I release, I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. Good morning. And my heart is open wide. Yeah. I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Let's get that right. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. Amen. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Amen. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I'm only here for God. I'm only here for God. Only here for God and you. Yes, 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 yes. We love that, don't we now? Right. Thank you, Merle. Merle likes that. Thank you, Ellen. I am blessed. I am blessed every day of my life. I am blessed, 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 blessed. When I wake up in the morning or lay my head to rest, I am blessed. I am blessed. Come on now. I am blessed. I am blessed every day of my life. Yeah, I am blessed, 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 blessed. When I wake up in the morning, I lay my head to rest. I am blessed. I am blessed. Yes. I am free. I am free. Every day of my life. Woo! I'm free, 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 free. When I wake up in the morning or lay my head to rest, I am free. I am free. Let's say I'm loved. Yes, you are. You are loved. You are loved every day of your life. You are love, 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 love. When I wake up in the morning or lay my head to rest, I'm loved. I am loved. Woo! Come on now. I am blessed. I am blessed every day of my life. I am blessed, 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 blessed. When I wake up in the morning or lay my head to rest, I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. Yes, give yourselves a round of applause. Good job. Yes, Atlanta. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Yes, and Happy New Year to you. My name is Idella Veal, and I proudly serve as a licensed practitioner here at the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. Yes, I am that I am that I am. We are a center that educates and engages the seeker on their spiritual path. As a member of the global movement Centers for Spiritual Living, our mission is to provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. Our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And our purpose, our vision is a world that works for everyone. No matter where you are on this spiritual journey, the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta is where you belong. For more information about today's service and ways to connect during the week, please take a moment to scan the QR code found either on the back of the seat in front of you or the one displayed on the monitor. We are very grateful and excited for your presence this morning. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Yes, yes, you can put your hands together for Adela Veal, one of our practitioners. I invite you to join with me and let's sing together. Stand if you feel it's comfortable to you, and welcome at home. We're so glad you're here. There is a space in my heart where I can find the truth. Amen. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. When we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Yeah, here we go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are, look around the room and say, you are welcome here. You are welcome here. See with new eyes, allow an unfold embrace. Let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we can ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Come on, now sing it out. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Give yourselves a round of applause. Beautiful singing, I'm saying. Please be seated. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How y'all doing? Good, good, awesome. My name is David Alexander. I'm the spiritual director here. My pronouns are he and his. And this is a great day to be in spiritual community together. We're on our third week of the new year in our new Begin Again series, and week 2 of kind of back to basics, looking at the first 4 chapters in the Science of Mind. It doesn't matter if you've ever read it before. We're just kind of reviewing kind of the basic elements of the tenets of our teaching and our philosophy here. So you're in a good place today. And today's affirmation is an old classic from Johnny Coleman. How many people know who Johnny Coleman was? Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman, Chicago, Southside Universal Foundation for Better Living, absolute pioneer. I'll talk a little bit about her in the message today. And she was famous for saying a lot of great things, and one of them is this: I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. And it fits so beautifully in with the second chapter of Science of Mind, or how to use it today. So it is very simple. I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. Let's take a deep breath. And let's say that together. I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. Let's do it again. I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. One more time. I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. And so it is. We'll explore more about what that means today. Let's give each other a hand for being here today. Good morning. I'm glad you're here.
I am so blessed so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. Once for the beloved community, we are so blessed.
Good morning again. It is time for affirmative prayer. So I invite you to join with me. If you would sit comfortably in your seats, hands on your lap, open in a posture of receptivity. And please take in a deep breath. Inhale. Inhaling the power of God. Another deep breath. Power in the breath. And I will speak this prayer in first person, and whatever resonates with you, if you would receive that as your own. This is what I know. I know that there's only one life, and that life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is wonderful. That life is my life now. God is all there is, all-knowing, all-powerful, everywhere, all the time. Not just sometimes, but all the time. And I am one with this forever evolving power of oneness and allness. And I allow that spirit of allness to flow in and through and all around me right here, right now. I am one with the one. I am a child of the Most High God. There's only one God. And I allow that magnificence to flow in me, to be in me. It is who I am. I'm choosing that. I have a choice in this. And I'm choosing God every time. I know that this life that I live is a life of abundance. Oh, when I know I'm in alignment with Spirit, any and all desires just come my way life works out for me. I'm a magnet of whatever it is that I'm choosing to think. Consciousness is everything. And I choose to think that life is good. And if things aren't going the way I'd like for them to go, I have to hone in on what am I thinking about? What am I drawing into me? Because I'm a magnet. And the people around me are magnets also. So, of course, their thoughts matter. But mine matter above all. So, I choose to think that moving forward in 2023, let's not rush things. Life is good. Life is good. And that's how I'm choosing to feel about it. The universe checks out. Where's my feeling? Where's my emotion? Sometimes if things aren't going the way I'd like for them to go, how am I thinking about it? Because the power of the universe is reacting to my emotions and how I'm choosing to feel about where I am here and now. I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. So I stay conscious of my emotions and how I feel. I'm knowing continually that the Spirit of God within me is the power that leads, that brings to me what it is that I want in life. I know that life is good. I know that I was created to live a life of joy and abundance, and that's up to me. How do I choose to greet the morning when I awake each morning? Good morning, world. I'm here again, choosing to live in the glory of God because I deserve to live a good life. I deserve well-being. That's full of energy and abundance and vitality. Knowing every cell, every organ, every drop of blood in my body vibrates in joy. Oh, I deserve that. And I know it's all based on how I feel and what I believe. I'm knowing that we live in this universe of abundance. And it flows where the energy is radiating that vibration. So I'm conscious of my thoughts and my feelings. We all deserve to live a life of abundance and joy. And as we move in that direction, in feelings and thoughts and knowings and giving, we are the magnets that draw it to us every time. So, I give thanks and appreciation for this knowing, for this truth. I give thanks for the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta, Reverend David, every practitioner, everyone that is here today. Thank you for your presence. You are appreciated. Knowing that we're all one and that life is good. As we all say together, and so it is.
With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. As I open and allow, I know right here and now, I create a world where wonders never cease. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. Through me.
Greetings, Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. This is Karen Ratz. I proudly serve as president to your Board of Trustees, and I'm so grateful for my fellow board members, Treasurer Carrie Fowler, Michael Preston, Rita Farmer, David Johnson, our spiritual director, Reverend David Alexander, our executive director, Shannon Pruitt, our musical director, Penelope Williams, and the amazing Reverend Jean Bell. Thank you to all our board and staff, our practitioners, our community members, our pledgers. Thank you all, and Happy New Year 2023. I'm coming to you today to talk about engagement, talk about what you'd like to see for the future of Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. As you well know, this is a very vibrant place that hasn't just set an intention, but actually walks the walk of you belong in a world that works for everyone. That is what is important to us. And so we want to grow engagement this year. We want to grow income this year. As you know, we have a small deficit between income and expenses that we want to continue to increase our income, because I think we've got our expenses minimized and we prioritize our expenses to our amazing staff. But we also do have some facilities expense. And as you know, we have been able to negotiate that with our landlord. But in 2023, we are going to keep looking for options around space and where we want to meet. So we started with community engagement. A couple months ago, we sent out a survey. Many of you answered it. And here's what we learned, that 66% of our survey respondents said that a place in Atlanta is important to you, but it doesn't have to be our current space. And so we're going to look. We're going to look at options. It's very flexible and it's going to be community led. That's the thing, right? SLCA has had 3 locations in its 43-year history. If there's a change to be made, it's going to be community led and there's going to be time to discuss and get input. But all the options are on the table. We could get a smaller footprint at our current location, but we could try some other places as well. So one of the things about being engaged in community is there's lots of options, and we want to hear from you about what those options could be and where you'd like to go and where you'd like to meet. So we're going to try something. On January 22nd, you are invited to the UUCA, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta. It has a new building on Claremont Road. We would love to do a service there and have you come. And that's scheduled for January 22nd in the afternoon. We're going to try an afternoon service at 3 o'clock. There won't be anything in the morning at our current space at SLCA. It'll be in the afternoon at UUCA, 3 o'clock, the full-on Reverend David message, Penelope music, the streaming, the whole nine. And then we're going to have a family dinner afterwards. So join us and see how it feels over there. So we've got lots of options, and as I say, this will be about engagement and be community-led. So for 2023, SLCA, as you know, not every organization made it through the pandemic. We did, but we want to keep growing. We want to keep impacting the community. We want to keep transforming lives, our own, as well as those in our community, and make a difference with what we know about this teaching, about this philosophy, about how it can impact personal transformation and community transformation. So join us. Join us for the 22nd. See how that space feels. Join us for these conversations about where we want to meet, whether we want to keep our current space. Join us for what you'd like to see SLCA do in the community. Join us and engage. If you have ideas for fundraisers, let's get on it. If you have ideas for who to invite to our community that we should be engaging with, join us, speak up, let us hear from you. All right? We love you dearly. I am so grateful for this entire community. Thank you for who you are and everything you do for our beloved SLCA. Let's make it even better in 2023.
I once heard a powerful story about a man who stood in his truth. Such conviction in who he was, he would not be moved. Someone stepped out of the crowd and said, "Are you Martin Luther King?" He said, "Yes, I am." And the well-dressed man spit on him. Then King took out his handkerchief, wiped the hate from his suit. He gave it back to the man and said, "I believe this belongs to you. I will lift you up and do what I can do. I see your heart, I know your pain. I have been there too. I will hold you high while you do what you have to do. But I am clear who is standing here. I believe this belongs to you." I once had a powerful story I used to carry around. I thought it was you all this time, held my spirit down. But now I know the truth of who I came here to be. You are my angel in disguise and not my enemy. And I thank you for the part you played in this dance we had to do. I give you back your freedom now. I believe this belongs to you. I will lift you up and do what I can do. I feel your heart, I know your pain. I have been there too. I will hold you what you have to do. I give you back your freedom now. I believe this belongs to you. I will lift you up and do what I can do. I feel your heart, I know your pain. I have been there too. I will hold you high while you do what you have to do. I give you back your own true love. I believe this belongs to you. I am clear who is standing here. I believe this belongs to you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, Penelope. Good morning. Make one correction to, are you, first of all, are you excited about next week? 3 o'clock afternoon church? Can you imagine that? You can sleep in. You can go to brunch. You can, we want to hear your opinions and your feedback about that. So we're going to try it on for a week. That's all. It's just a week. If you don't like the idea, you can still come and then let us know that we thought this was a terrible idea. We're happy to hear that as much as we are. It's a great idea. And then we'll be back here the following week to wrap out this series. But in the video, our board president, Karen, said is on Claremont. It's not on Claremont. It's on North Druid Hills. I think 2650, I think, is the actual address. Not far from here at all. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody over there. Amen? Let's give it a shot. Come on, I want to hear you excited about it. It's a New Thought church that's having some new thoughts. How about that? I know some people in New Thought that ain't had one in 40 years. But anyway, begin again. We're looking at the second chapter of Science of Mind today. Science of Mind is the text that was written by Ernest Holmes, printed initially in 1927, re-edited in 1938, and it's among the core sources for our teaching of New Thought principles, or the way in which he articulated the philosophy called the Science of Mind, which is just sort of his articulation of the broader New Thought community. I called this series Begin Again, and it's rooted in the work of James Baldwin, who said this: not everything is lost. Responsibility cannot be lost. It can only be abdicated. If one refuses abdication, one begins again. One begins again. And for me, that is the essence of what the Science of Mind, or this New Thought philosophy that we ascribe to here, is about. It's about that refusal of abdication. It's refusing to surrender to tracks of negative thinking in our own mind. It's refusing to surrender to the malaise and the hypnotic tone of scarcity and fear and lack and us and them and all of that stuff that's happening in the world around us. It's being broadcast in the airwaves and is in the collective consciousness. It's refusing to abdicate to those things as the default, as the norm, as the way it has to be. And it's choosing responsibility again, first and foremost for our own thinking, and then for the world that we create together. So begin again is the grounding of our renewal of awareness of these principles this month. Ernest Holmes, in the extended written course that he wrote back in the 30s when the movement was really growing, and he wrote this extension course, mailed it out to people to study. He wrote this in the introduction, and I shared this last week. He says, "You're about to start on the most interesting quest the human mind has ever made. The discovery of the life principle, the way it works, and your relationship to it. You're about to make the greatest discovery of your life, which is how to use the creative power of your thought for a definite purpose, which will benefit you, your family, and your friends." And I would add to that and say, and the world. Right? In the world, the community around us. And so as we extend ourselves into week 2 for this, week 1 was the thing itself. It's the first chapter, the thing itself. And in the thing itself, we say there is one essence, one intelligent source, one fundamental harmony that is the back of all creation, the source from which everything is created, the one thing itself. Now, some people call it God or spirit or infinite intelligence, but we made the distinction last week that God is really our relationship to the thing itself. The thing itself is independent of our definition of it. Yes? It stands, it's the thing itself. We are attempting through language, through consciousness, through stories, through metaphor, through everything that we have resource to, through our mind, to articulate what it is. But everything that points to it is just the thing that points to it. It's not the thing itself. The thing itself is always bigger than our current grasp of it. Have you noticed? There's this life intelligence in the universe. You have a grasp of it. You're here today. You got up, you brush your teeth, you put your clothes on. You know, you're functioning, right? But you know that thing that you're using to do all of that is bigger than your current usage of it, right? It has to be. Otherwise, you wouldn't have dreams. You wouldn't have aspirations. You wouldn't have desires for things to get better, to do more, to have greater impact. So the thing itself is this infinite intelligence. God is our concept of it, our current concept, which is always moving. Now, I'm a Gen X kid, and I grew up, watching comedy on HBO and different things, and used to be to go to this place called Blockbuster. They had these big plastic cartons you had to get them, and I'd go and get and I loved comedy, so I'd go and get all that, the Monty Python and the different comedians and whatnot. And there used to be this guy called Gallagher. You remember Gallagher? Oh, yeah. Right? Actually, a lot more than just smashing fruit. He was very articulate and had a lot of, I think, poignant things to say. His comedy approach was very thoughtful, and then he'd smash fruit. So there you go. But at the end, when he'd get through all of his sort of intelligent pieces of work, he'd then bring out that big sledgehammer and he'd say, it slices, it dices, it does this, it does that, blah, 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 and do this whole sort of sales pitch spiel, and he'd say, and don't you want to know how it works? And the crowd would go crazy, right? So that's kind of how I feel about the second chapter of Science of Mind. It's like we got this philosophy that can change your life and heal your life and transform the world, to do this and do that, and it's right there in your consciousness, and don't you want to know how it works? That's the second chapter of Science of Mind. It's a quick chapter. It's only 5 pages. So I'm going to read it for you now in its entirety. No, but it is the shortest chapter in here. It's just a few short pages, and it's called The Way It Works. The Way It Works. And in The Way It Works, he begins by reviewing, as I did, the thing itself, this infinite intelligence is one thing. And it's important to keep grounding ourselves as we move forward in this basic idea that there is only one intelligence in the universe working in, through, and as all things. Because it's very easy to get separated from that. It's very easy to divide ourselves amongst each other, to think, first and foremost, of ourselves separate from that one intelligence. That there's me and that there's them and there's you and. But there's really only one appearing as the many, appearing as the all of us. And it's a simple idea. When we say it, we go, well, yeah, okay. But it's amazing how quickly we forget and how quickly we step into mental constructs that only work. Watch this. We step into mental constructs that only work if oneness isn't true. The world is actually run by mental constructs. In other words, things that were thought by thinkers who thought the thought, right? Mental constructs that only work if the presumption behind them is something other than oneness. Separation, division, us and them, this and that, right? But if we remember that God is all there is, that intelligence is all there is, that this fundamental energy of harmony is all that there is, then all of those other constructs begin to break down. They don't hold water. So it's important to establish ourselves in that consciousness and remember that all the way through as we move into this thing. So we're made from this thing itself. It's the source, the intelligence of all of that. And the more of the thing itself that we realize that there's nothing else that we could be because it is all that there is. And so he begins in this second chapter with this. So the thing itself, I said last week, consciousness is everything. Consciousness is all that there is. Consciousness is everything. Okay? It's a summary. Then he says, when we see it, this thing itself, this conscious intelligence, which is why it is capitalized. When we see it as it is, then we shall see ourselves as we are. We shall find a better God when we have arrived at a higher standard for humanity. If God is to interpret itself to humanity, it must interpret itself through humanity. Okay? So we begin with that first part. When we see it as it is, then we shall see ourselves as we are. And if if this intelligence is to interpret itself to us, then it must do so through us. We could also say, looking at that first highlighted line, when we see it as it is, we shall see ourselves as we are. We could say this, as we see it, we see ourselves, and we see ourselves as we see it. Currently, right now. You and I, we see ourselves as we see it, and as we see it, we see ourselves. In other words, all of the projection that we have on God, well, why did God do this, or why did God do that, or why does so-and-so, whenever I do a basics class, where by the time we get to week 2 or 3, people are raising their hands and saying, but what about racism and discrimination and animal abuse and sexual abuse and the Holocaust and the this and the that and starvation and all of these things? Why, if there's this infinite intelligence and the fundamental energy and essence of it is harmony, why would these things be allowed? This is why. As we see it, we see ourselves, and we see ourselves as we see it. The intelligence of the universe doesn't play favorites. The intelligence of the universe isn't really, now we say its fundamental essence is harmony, and we say that because when we leave it alone and we just allow it to be what it is, then harmony and order is what we see in the universe. Order of the stars and the universe and the plants and the animals, and there may be things that look like chaos and us and them, and there's the hierarchy in the animal kingdom and in the natural world, but all of those things are working together to produce a fundamental state of harmony, always and forever. If we play a discordant note on the piano, if it was a stringed piano, right, we would hear it discordant, meaning it doesn't sound like harmony. It doesn't sound good to us, right? Quote unquote good, it was value judgment, but it's discordant. But if we were to measure the vibration of that note out into space beyond our ears' capacity to hear it, what we would discover is that discordant vibration eventually resolves itself in harmony with everything else in the universe. The fundamental order of the universe is harmony. But when we see ourselves as separate, when we see ourselves as less than, when we see ourselves as unworthy, when we see ourselves as incapable, when we see each other in that way, then what we are doing is we are seeing God that way. And when we see God that way, then we can only see ourselves that way. Because it's just a mirror. God is our relationship to the thing itself. You following what I'm saying here? Right? So the change, or how it works then, is to change our thoughts. Change our thoughts, change our life. Change your thinking, change your life. This is why Johnny Coleman said, I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. Because how it works is through our consciousness, or through our intelligence, or through our thinking. Ernest Holmes says, in this one, I have it further down, in our ignorance of truth, we have misused the highest power that we possess. And so great is this power, so complete is our freedom in it, and so absolute the domain of law through it, that the misuse of this power has brought upon us the very conditions from which we suffer. We are bound because we are first free. Ooh, that'll preach right there. We are bound because we are first free. We are free to think. We are free to choose. We are free in our intelligence to allow our mind to go where it chooses to go or where we choose it to go about who we are, who you are, what you are, what God is, and what this thing called life is. And because we are free in that, the universe says, I will give back to you exactly what you think into it. You are bound because you are first free. So now, the first thing that we need to not do in understanding how this principle works is to then go beat ourselves up. Say, well, you said it's up to me and how I think, and I'm bound because I'm first free, and so that means my thoughts have bound me in my unworthiness and my lack and limitation and all of that stuff, and so stop it. You're doing nobody any good. If this was a traditional Christian church, we'd say, get off the cross, we need the wood. Right? This is more than just positive thinking, and make sure you choose positive thoughts because you don't want to choose negative ones because that might bring negative conditions. Stop all that nonsense. This is about how it works. This is about understanding that there is a law behind the thought. And it's deeper than just thinking positive thoughts all the time, because I don't know if you've noticed or not, that's sometimes hard to do. It's hard, you know. I watch stuff on TV, and I'm like, I ain't got a positive thought for this. That's what prayer and meditation is for. And I can suspend judgment and say, there's a greater power in the presence, and it's going to work it all itself out. But sometimes I just want to say all manner of things about it. Right? I put myself on mute right there. Right? Did you know, this it's later in the notes, but I just got to bring it up here. Did you know in Missouri, because yesterday I was at a legislative advocacy session about women's rights and trans rights and abortion rights and what's happening in Georgia and what bills are coming forward, et cetera. And so state legislature sessions have gone back in, as the National Congress has as well. And in Missouri, they just the first thing that the House and the Senate did in Missouri is passed a resolution for the House itself, for the rules of how the House and the Senate conduct themselves. And they passed a dress code for women in the state legislature. Not visitors, not guests, not like a dress code to get in, but for the people who work there themselves. Cannot wear sleeveless anythings. It is 2023, y'all. This is the first thing on our legislative agenda. Like somehow they messed up the memo. So they said, you know what, people are worried about all of this right to bear arms stuff. We need to do something about it. They said, we got a solution for that. Let little women bear no arms in this house. It's important to understand. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just telling you, sometimes my mouth needs deliverance after I watch the news. Because this is the foolishness that we're dealing with, you know. But it's important to remember that I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. There are some thinkers thinking some thoughts, making some things that don't make no sense, right? So it's important to understand how the law works. It's not to beat ourselves up or to be in judgment about bad thoughts that we've had or negative. It's to simply be in inquiry about, well, what's that about? Stop the judgment and engage yourself in curiosity, right? Just curiosity, just like, oh, okay, well, if that's showing up in my life and it's true that I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing, then there's a thought that's behind that has brought that about. What is that thought? Not what's wrong with me, not why am I bad, not, oh my God, I can't believe No, just curiosity from a non-judgment place. What is the thought? And as you discover what the thought is, you go, huh, Well, now that's interesting. Since I believe that God is all that there is and that nothing can harm me and only good can come to me and the fundamental order of the universe itself is harmony, why would I think that thought? You see how that disarms the judgment? It's curiosity. Why would I think that thought? Then you begin to discover where that came from. It came from your parents, it came from your upbringing, it came from collective consciousness of whatever, it came from your past. It doesn't matter. And you're not trying to identify where it came from so that you can go place blame on them. You're just wondering where it came from. Sometimes you take things out of your backpack and you're like, what is this? Who put this here? Right? And you say, well, just set it down. You don't need to carry that anymore. Just set it down. And you just discover, you go, oh, okay, that thought came from this. Well, I don't even recognize what that is, but I don't need it, so I'm just going to set it down, right? So how it works is through principle. How it works is through consciousness. How it works is through what Ernest Holmes would call the law of mind, right? The law of mind. This intelligence works by law. And so we tend to refer to the law in our metaphysical symbol, the circle with the 3 sections and the V in it, as the soil. Right, the law, so we use this metaphor of seed, soil, plant. So consciousness is all that there is, intelligence is all there is, but if I put into the soil a seed of a particular kind, a tomato seed, then the law is going to respond to that seed and bring forth the nature of that seed, even if I don't need tomatoes, even if I'm allergic to them, even if it's the wrong, right, whatever it is, right? The law's job is to bring forward the nature of the thought, not something else, but the nature of and it's just a law. So it's not personal, it's principle. That's a mantra I want you to remember as you're evaluating and going, well, how did things get this way? In my life, my circumstance, conditions, I'm trying to think about what is the thought behind the thing, right? It's not about judgment, it's not about shame, it's not about blame, it's not about any of those things. It's about simply, well, it's not personal, it's principle. What is the principle behind that? What were the thoughts, right? And as you do that, begin to unearth things. You begin to discover. And then you can figure out where the healing is. Then you can figure out where the transformation is. Then you can figure out how to, through prayer, meditation, forgiveness, visioning, all of these other practices, to let go and transform and heal all of those places and begin to step into healthier thoughts. Amen? And so a lot of people want to stop short in this chapter and go immediately to that blame and shame place, but we want to hold ourselves back from that, the temptation to do that, and go into that curiosity, go into that precision of investigation, and then bring forward and simply look at it. Just look at it. Sometimes things happen in our life because we just refuse to look at what's already in motion. Right? Dr. King, it's the quote we put up for the church today, so I got to bring it up because I didn't write it down in my notes. But he says, freedom is not won with passive acceptance of suffering. Freedom is won by the struggle against suffering. Freedom is not won with a passive acceptance of suffering. Freedom is won by the struggle against suffering. In other words, it's turning and looking at it. It's facing it and saying, what is this? Why is it here? It's not, well, we're going to try to avoid negative thoughts. We're not going to think about those who are suffering. We're not going to think about economic injustice. We're not going to think about the price of this or what the powers may be have that are doing or any of those things. No, it's to have the courage and the tenacity to look at it and say, given the fact that God is all that there is, why would this thing, which is anchored in inequity, which is anchored in suffering, which is anchored in us and them, which is anchored in discrimination, which is anchored in a lack or limitation, why would this thing continue to persist and to have any influence over my life? It is a no thing if God is all that there is. And so when you have the courage to turn and to look at it, that's what Dr. King did. That was the power of the dream. That was the power of articulation of a vision greater than our current experience, to turn and to look at it, not to just say, I have a dream of a better world, but to say, let's look, I have come today to cash a check on the nation, and the bank has responded insufficient funds. right? I've come to talk about poverty and inequity and economic justice. I've come to talk about the militarization of our police. I've come to talk about racism and discrimination and unfair laws and voting rights and access and all of those things. And we are, while much progress has been made, we are a long way from the actualization of that dream, right? Economic injustice has gotten bigger, not smaller, since Dr. King's dream. Mass incarceration has gotten bigger, not smaller, since Dr. King's dream, right? So many things continue to persist and to knock at our door. And New Thought's answer needs to not be, well, let's just all hold some positive thoughts. We got to turn and look at it and say, given that God is all that there is, given that there's only one power and one presence, how can this inequity stand in the light of that? And the answer is already known in the mind of God. The answer is it can't. Because God is all that there is. And so what happens is then as you do that in your own life, as you say, given that God is all there is, given that there's only wholeness, that there's only one power, one presence, and God doesn't allow any part of itself to suffer or to lack or to be without resource or to be without answers or to be without guidance or direction on how to unfold. Each one of us is a seed within the mind of God, and that seed is planted in good soil. And therefore, it has everything that it needs to come out from inside of itself. As the acorn has the oak tree already inside, the imprint of it, it has everything that it needs. It just needs to be planted in the right place. You have been planted in the right place by God. You have been planted in the right place by the universe itself. You've been planted in the right place. And if you don't like the place you've been planted, well, then you got more legs than an acorn. Get up. Move yourself and plant yourself somewhere in consciousness first that says, I am where I need to be surrounded by all that I need right now. Because I am a undifferentiated, individualized expression of the divine itself. I have everything that I need right now. See, and then that's how it works when we can see it. When we can believe it, then we can conceive it. How it works is through our consciousness. God can't do something for us that it won't do through us. We have to be willing to be the vessels. We have to be willing to be the answer. We have to be willing to be the place. When we investigate with curiosity and precision where our thoughts have come from, we get better answers. I want you to hear that again. When we investigate with curiosity and precision the thoughts that are behind the things in our life that we want to change or shift or improve or whatever it is, then we get better answers. And we need better answers in our world, right? I can guarantee you, let me just say this. Somebody in the world somewhere, I don't know who it was, but I wish I did know who it was. Somebody won $1.3 billion recently. Are they in the room today? We got to talk to you. Somebody, but you know what? Here's the deal. They weren't praying for financial freedom. I don't know what they were praying for, but I can guarantee you it wasn't financial freedom. You and I say, oh, I wish I could get that. I would just be financially free. No, you wouldn't. You'd have $1.3 billion worth of responsibility to deal with. And if you ain't dealing with what you got now, how are you going to deal with $1.3 billion of it? Money is not financial freedom. It's financial obligation. It's to be a resource into the world. It's to be a resource for your family, for the community around you. So I pray that whoever it was that got that ticket was praying about how to be good use of resource in the world, how to be a benefit, how to be a portal through which something good can happen. Because if they were praying for financial freedom, they're going to have a really bad headache for a long time. Because now they got to hire people and advisors and tax people and foundation people and all manner of things that they didn't have to worry about before they got that ticket. You understand what I'm saying? Investigate the thought so that you get better answers. What is it that I really want? So often we want freedom, and when we, I don't think there's a word in the American Western culture lexicon that has been more abused. It's abused politically, it's abused spiritually, it's abused at every level. I don't think there's a word that's been more abused, pimped out, and proselytized, and all of that than the word freedom. So I want spiritual freedom. I want financial freedom. I want, on the political spectrum, we're for state freedom. We're for individual freedom. And what we're really saying when we say that, the thought that's behind the thing is, I want to separate from you to the degree where I don't have to think about you anymore. Am I right about it? Most often when we say freedom, what we mean is, I want to cut myself off from having to give a hoot about you or anybody else. That's not freedom. That's death. Because as long as you're breathing, you're connected to other people, to other circumstances, to, that 1.3 billion person. They can go buy an island if they want to and try to live on the island. But you know what? The refugee crisis and the climate crisis and everything else isn't going to care how much money you got in your bank. You're still going to be connected to the problems of the world because you're always connected. So that prayer isn't answered. You can't get freedom from that which you are intimately connected to. You can only get responsibility. You can only get how it works, that it works through your consciousness, to begin again, to stop abdicating responsibility and to begin again in consciousness and say, how can it be of best use to myself, to my community, to my friends, to my family, to the world around me? How can I be a living embodiment of what it is that I want? If what I really want is freedom from responsibility, then I need to rethink my thoughts. Because what I really need to be is useful in a way that liberates me. Right? Liberates me and liberates others. I don't want freedom, I want liberation. I want to live in an environment in which not only do I not have to worry that any of my needs are met, but neither does anybody else. I want liberation in a way that we're all living. That's what Dr. King wanted, was liberation. Not freedom as much as liberation. That's why his heart of his vision was so empowering to us, because he first knew that you had to tackle the subjects. You had to look at the disparities. You had to look at the thoughts behind the things, behind voting rights and civil rights and poverty and economic injustice and militarization and racism, that were all things that were made by thoughts from a thinker who thought the thought. And he knew that the first thing that you could do is challenge the thought. The second thing that you can do is investigate where the thought came from. The third thing that you can do is have a new thought. And the embodiment of the vision was, let's have a new thought. Because if I can plant in your consciousness a new thought, and that new thought makes more sense to your soul, to your being, to the heart and the essence of who you are, then you will, I don't have to do it for you. I don't have to change your thoughts. I just got to plant a new seed. I just got to plant the possibility of something greater that begins to rattle around inside of you, because there's something inside of you knows that it's true. James Baldwin said, when you talk about discrimination and construct of whiteness in America, he says, the white man, because they knew that we were a man, because they knew that, they had to convince themselves somehow that we weren't. But because they knew that we were inside, right, they had to give us a different classification. They had to do all of these things in order to convince themselves of what was the opposite of what they already knew inside. Just looking at us, they could see that we were a man. But they had to convince themselves that somehow that they're not a man, therefore unworthy of these rights or these things, you see. So all we have to do to shift the ills of the world is to plant the seeds that create the cognitive dissonance. All I got to do is say that you are loved, you are whole, you are perfectly complete. I don't have to come into your life and fix your life. I know some of you, I gave a sermon, and some of you say, were you behind the couch this week? I don't have to come into your house and be behind your couch. I just have to tell the truth about what I know about God and my own experience of it, and it will rattle around in your life until it pops out. And you say, we got to change some things around here. I got to start with my own thoughts and behaviors and actions and deeds, and so that I can bring forward something greater, because I heard something. And it made sense. That's what Dr. King was talking about when he planted the seeds of that vision. I already talked about the women in Missouri that bearing arms. That's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I tell you what, I know what I would do. I would just show up. It ought to be a mass protest of just women just all bearing out everything. I tell you, if I was a man in the Missouri legislature, which I do not want to be, by the way, but if I was, I'd just cut off the sleeves of my suit and just walk in, all right, how we doing now? What you going to do now? Are my arms bothering your capacity to legislate today? When we change the thoughts of the masses by simply planting the seed of the divine idea. Ernest Holmes says it this way. He says, as high a mark that we shall make in the mind and spirit, so shall be its outward manifestation in our material world. As high as we shall make a mark in the mind and the spirit, so shall be its outward manifestation in our material world. Your job, my job, our job is to make a high mark in the spiritual mind, in our awareness, a high mark of what's possible for our life. A high mark. It might be far from where you are now. It might be a high mark in terms of what financial success looks like. It might be a high mark of what relationship fulfillment looks like. It might be a high mark of what happiness looks like. Or it might be a very short distance of just a few more things that you need to do. But it doesn't matter. But our job is to make a high mark. And Spirit says, as high as you make that mark, so shall be the outward manifestation. Now, the distance between here and there will be for you to do the work. And we'll get into the next few chapters is what it does and how to use it. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. But today is just how it works. How it works is the mark that we make in consciousness is the direction that Spirit begins to move. And so we make a mark today, a high mark in consciousness that begins with the understanding and the anchored awareness that I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. Dr. King understood this. We must understand it as well. That there is a vision and a capacity possible for us as individuals, but also as community, as a nation, as a collective consciousness in the world. We make a high mark for peace and the end of war in our world. We make a high mark for economic justice for all to step into. We make a high mark for equality that expresses itself in legislation as it relates to every aspect in ways in which we've decided to divide ourselves. So that equality reveals itself in economic justice and reproductive rights and women's rights and trans rights and education, employment, everything. We make a high mark because God is all that there is, and God desires for the fulfillment of its creation in, through, and as its creation. It created you to know itself more fully. It didn't create you to know lack or limitation or to know poverty or disease or to know subjugation or oppression or racism or discrimination. It didn't make you so that it might know those things. It made you so that it might know wholeness as you. It made me so that it might know wholeness as me. It made us so that it might know wholeness as us. In the Quran, in the Muslim tradition, they talk about their own version of the Temple of Babel, and they say, and they speak to Allah, and they say, why did you make us with different tongues, with different nations, and different ways of speaking? It's their own take on the Tower of Babel story. It might even be older than the Babel story, but their version, Allah responds to that question and says, I made you of different tongue, of different nations, of different places, so that you might know one another. Not that you could be divided, not so that you would be different, not so that you would hate or discriminate or do any of those things, but so that you might know one another. Because if somebody speaks differently than you, then you have to engage in order to know them. You have to say, what did you mean by that? You have to say, how are you? How is your family? Where are you from? What is your tradition like? You have to engage to be in relationship. And so Allah said, so that you might know one another, I made you different from each other. So that you all talk to each other. So that you talk to each other and figure it out. So God has made us so that we might figure out what wholeness and peace and love and beauty and harmony and equity and inclusion might look like on earth. And it looks like how we decide it looks like through our thoughts. I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. Let's make something beautiful together. Let's make a world that works for everyone together. Let's be the thinker that thinks those thoughts to make those things happen. We can do it, and we can do it right with our own lives, starting right where we are. Take a breath. Yes, thank you, God. I give thanks that the nation today turns its attention today and tomorrow to Atlanta, Georgia, to this son of Atlanta, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I give thanks that the nation, even for a brief moment, as the president and vice president are here in town at Ebenezer Baptist, celebrating with Senator Raphael Warnock, the Reverend Warnock today. I give thanks that the collective consciousness of the nation turns its attention, at least for a brief moment, to remember the dream, to remember the possibility, to remember the direction and the course set by Dr. King. And it is my prayer that we remember beyond just one day, that we remember beyond just one weekend, that we take this moment in which the nation's eyes are on us and we rise up and walk in that dream, hold it as a possibility, and show the nation what is possible. Show the nation what a world that works for everyone looks like. Show the nation of what a high mark of consciousness can be so that we can continue to march forward together. I believe that this is possible. I believe that this is the mantle that is placed upon us as Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta and all spiritual communities of every creed, culture, and orientation within the greater Atlanta area. This is our task, to be the place that rises in consciousness and shows what's possible. I'm ready and willing to do the work here. I'm ready and willing to partner with anyone who wishes to walk that walk. And I'm ready and willing to support each one of you and each one of us as we embody it in our own lives, starting with our family and our children and our loved ones, that we might make a world that works so that we could be of maximum service to each other, the beloved community. So for this and more, I'm truly grateful and thankful, and so it is.
Uh-oh. Drummer wasn't ready. Drummer wasn't ready. Gotta get the band ready. Thank you, Rev D. I'm on fire now. Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Somebody enjoy. Mother, 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 far too many of you crying. You know we got to find a way to bring some understanding here today. Oh, Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer. Only love will conquer hate. Put your hands together. You know we got to find a way. Don't leave me out here by myself. To bring some understanding here today. Picket lines, brother. Picket signs, sister. Oh, don't punish me, sister, with brutality. Talk to me, sister, and you can see what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, going on, what's going on, going on, going on. Picket lines, brother, picket signs, brother, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me, brother, and you can see. Tell me what's going on, what's going on, going on, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. We got work to do, guys. Yeah. Thank you, Rev D, so much. Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, Reverend David, thank you for that message this morning. Let's give Reverend David a big hand. And Penelope, too. What's going on? Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I am the thinker that thinks the thought that makes the thing. Powerful. So let's make something beautiful, starting with our own lives. Thank you, Reverend David. Okay. It's time now to acknowledge our first-time visitors. So if you're with us for the very first time, please stand and allow us to acknowledge your presence.
Good morning, welcome.
So a member of our welcome team would like to bring you a gift just for you, so please join a welcome ambassador for fellowship in the lobby following service. Thank you for choosing the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta as part of your celebration today. As we enter our time of grateful giving, we want to thank each and every one of you that faithfully gives to SLCA. It is because of your contributions that we can continue to spread our message of oneness. If you're inspired by this message today, which I'm sure you are, please consider becoming a recurring pledger, or give what is on your heart today. You can conveniently text your gift to 404-800-9467. You may also give with a credit card on our website or by using our digital program with the QR code displayed on the screen. If you wish to give by cash or check, our ushers will be coming through the aisle shortly to receive your contribution. As you hold your pledge card or your gift to your heart, please join us in saying our affirmation for grateful giving. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is.
And so it is. Connect, grow, serve, and give. Living life where you belong. Connect, grow, serve, and give. Loving everyone you belong. Connect, grow, serve, and give. Living life where you belong. Connect, grow, serve, and give. Loving everyone you belong. You belong.
Hello, all you high thought thinkers. Can I get a high five? I'm Mally LaPeach. My pronouns are she and her, and I gladly serve on the creative arts team here at SLCA. We're so happy that you chose to begin your year with SLCA. You have so many great opportunities to connect, grow, serve, and give at our center. So for more information about today's announcements and other opportunities, take a moment to scan the QR code found on the back of the chair in front of you or the one shown on your monitor. You may also visit our information wall in the lobby right out here. We'd like to thank our loyal pledgers who faithfully give to SLCA. Thank you. Connect this afternoon for an amazing jazz concert. Yay.
Yeah.
This lineup will bring you some of Atlanta's finest jazz musicians. Thanks to a generous grant, this event is free to everyone and will take place today from 1 to 3 right here. Did you know that we have a new opportunity to grow on newthoughtheducation.com? Last week, Jen Moore began her 3-part class titled Practical and Spiritual Tools for Uprooting Racism. If you aren't available to join the class live, you can always join with our on-demand option at your convenience. Register at newthoughtheducation.com. Sign up today on Breeze for a 1-day intention setting workshop with SLCA practitioner Letitia Dickerson on January 21st, beginning at 9:30 a.m. right here at the center. That's a Saturday. This workshop is filled with activities and strategies that will prepare you for an amazing year. Are you ready for an incredibly special SLCA service next Sunday, January 22nd at a different time and location? Yes! You don't want to miss the service. We'll begin at 3 p.m. Eastern Time at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta, located at 2650 North Druid Hills Road. It'll be the same amazing SLCA Sunday experience that you just got through with, just at a different time and location. We have so many special things planned for that day. So listen up. We want you to plan to join us. We will not have our usual service this morning. It'll be at 3 p.m. Plan to stay afterwards, too, for dinner in the social hall for fun and fellowship. Your board and staff will have a chili cook-off, and we want you to be the judge. Come help decide who will win the title of the best chili at SLCA. Please sign up on Breeze if you'd like a special text reminder about that day. Game night is back, and we can't wait to see you there. Bring your favorite game and a snack to share as we spend the evening enjoying great company and fun games. We'll meet at the center right here at 6 p.m. on Friday, January 27th. Game on. We've been invited to join CSL West Georgia on Saturday, January 28th from 11 to 4 p.m. in welcoming our CSL spiritual leader, Dr. Edward Fullion, at their center. For more information, please visit our information wall in the lobby after service. Will all practitioners please make yourself known in person at this time and in the chat? Hi, thank you. Hello. Thank you. We welcome each of you in need of prayer to remain in the room or reach out to a practitioner online for one-on-one prayer with a licensed practitioner. In-person practitioners will be sitting on either side of the sanctuary after the service. Thank you for joining us this morning. You belong.
Thank you, Mally. Let's close with Let There Be Peace on Earth. I invite you to stand. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God our Creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. jazz concert this afternoon. Thanks for joining us online.